Right now, we've got four of the leading industry leaders running some of our greatest racetracks. First up, our first interviewee actually had roles in two of the greatest movies, the Ten Commandments being one of them, The Greatest Show on Earth the other, and we couldn't quite get Charlton Heston. He's at a NYRA meeting somewhere today up there. But we did get the president, who actually did have roles in those movies. His grandfather was Cecil B. DeMille. The president of Del Mar and almost every other industry organization you can run your name across. Let's welcome the president of Del Mar, Joe Harper.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm really glad you didn't come out with 2 tablets.
No, I got the staff, though. It worked out.
Up next, he's all Kentucky, graduate of the University of Kentucky. He's worked with Millridge Farm, and he's a member of the Jockey Club, trustee of the American Horse Council, the NTRA, the TRA, all of those alphabet organizations. And importantly, he is the president of Keeneland, the 7th ever. Bill Thomason. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Tom.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Moses.
Get to know each other.
Following Moses
backstage for an hour and a half talking about Moses and everybody. Up next is a very educated guy. He's got law degrees, PhDs, masters. He's got a curriculum vitae that's longer than the rap sheet of a Baltimore Ravens linebacker. He's no criminal, believe me. He ran Toys R Us and many other very important organizations. And right now, he's running a very important organization, the New York Racing Association, representing Aqueduct, Saratoga, and Belmont. But most importantly, he signed my paychecks for the last year. Chris Kay.
The Baltimore Ravens.
Thank you. Yes. And well, yeah, have a seat. And here's a guy that literally started from the ground up. A groom, a hot walker, a valet, a jockey's agent, and worked his way up the horse racing ladder all the way to his position now. He's the president of the Stronach Group racing division, and they own, among other things, 2 of the jewels in American racing, Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park. Let's welcome Mike Rogers.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, gentlemen, be seated. Let's start. Actually, okay, all right. You'll receive, okay, and you guys will defend this on zone and kick. Bill, let's start out with you. You're sort of the host, running Keeneland as you do, and welcome everybody, if you will.
Well, it's easy to say welcome, everybody. Welcome to Keeneland. We can't tell you how excited we are to have everybody here in the room. You have come to the horse capital of the world. I hope that these couple of days are productive for you. You're going to get to enjoy some fantastic racing. See a lot of people here who are really excited to have you as well, and we're glad that you're here. So thanks for being here.
Yep. I've actually overcome my prejudice to Keeneland. Keeneland was historically stubborn about not having a racetrack announcer. What was the first year you had a racetrack announcer here?
It was back in the 80s.
80s or something, mid-80s, yeah. They apparently
they still haven't forgiven the president back then, Tom. Bill Greeley, who was president back then.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who still haven't forgiven him for that one.
Yeah,
so.
well, nobody in the Racetrack Announcers Union, I can tell you that. And you have a great announcer in Kurt Becker. Let's start off with, you guys, the 4 of you, have started an ownership alliance. Could each of you chip in on that? Let's start over here, Mike.
So I think about a year ago, we started reaching out to one another and think about how we could coordinate owners, as you know, compete at various racetracks. And when they go from maybe one of our tracks to Keeneland or to New York, and how to take care of that owner. If they're a VIP with us, we clearly want them to be a VIP in the other racetracks. So we started to talk about how we could coordinate some of that, that relationship.
How's it working out so far, Chris?
I think it's working out well.
Oh, by the way, does it have a name, the organization, or the alliance?
If we told you what it was, this would be your last event. We'd have to kill you.
Okay, fine.
What we're trying to do, though, is from our standpoint, we're trying to make every experience one that really focuses upon the guest. And the owner is the most important guest in our book. And so, as Mike mentioned a moment ago, if a certain owner at Santa Anita is going to come to New York and is used to being treated a certain way and has certain preferences, we want to make sure that that owner is treated the same way in our tracks as he's treated at Santa Anita. And so it's an exchange of information, and that's the goal.
Good. That's right, and when we first started talking about it, there was another initiative that kind of got us together and got us thinking about it. And the other part of that is we found out that it's important for all of us across the country. As we try to make sure that we're providing these consistent owner experiences around the country for our owners that are so important, all of us have common goals to make sure that everywhere they go, every racetrack is going to have a unique experience. All of them are different. When you come to Keeneland, it's a different place, a different feel. There's something unique about it. When you go to Santa Anita or Gulfstream or any of the NYRA tracks or Del Mar. So all of us are unique in what we're able to provide to our owners as an experience, but all those have commonalities. So we wanted to work together to make sure that we were providing the expectations and the levels of service and that we just didn't miss anything. So sharing best practices, sharing ideas about things that were working and that may be working at one of the other tracks. We just started learning that it makes us all better, therefore we make racing better across the country.
Mm-hmm. Joe?
I think the amazing thing really was that we didn't need a meeting before the first meeting to make sure we could actually find something we all agreed on. This is, track management not always sees eye to eye, and usually we have conflicting things going on.
Well, you
in
are
our
competitors,
lives.
so there's that.
That's true, yeah. But these are all pretty good guys, I found, Tom, and we really recognize the fact that we are, we do share customers, and we do want to do the best thing we can for them, and so I'm really happy with this alliance, and these are all guys that we're all on the same page on this one.
When you check into a good hotel, which I'm not really accustomed to checking into, but I've heard they have these things called concierges. Yes. And do we have anything like that at NYRA?
NYRA, we do. We have a horseman's relations group that is designed to help make your experience as special as it can be. And it's a group of people that will do a number of things for you. So I'm going to actually go to my notes to be thorough about this. If you're an owner that comes to the Saratoga race course on a daily basis, if you are in a stake race, you're going to receive complimentary box seating and dining reservations. They're all arranged for you. The race day undercard horsemen will also be provided box seats on a complimentary basis. We do the same thing to assist all horsemen for reservations throughout Saratoga for dinner, and if necessary, also for their hotels. When you come to New York City, we're going to provide the same kind of services.
I know you're not picking up their hotel tab because they are.
No, you're right.
They are very expensive in season at Saratoga, I can tell you that.
You're exactly right. In fact, a room that will cost you $175 in March will cost you $475 in August. That's because these are such demand. And so our ability to be able to book rooms at certain hotels in Saratoga to make them available for owners that later come to us and ask has been very important.
And how about your situation, through all your tracks?
Yeah, so I think we're a little unique. We own 6 racetracks in 4 different states, so we absolutely have horsemen's liaisons and concierge services. Our racetracks are unique too. Sometimes we have sort of tier 1 level tracks, and we have sort of a tier 2 level track, so sometimes the services that we offer at the various tracks can vary, but a lot of the things that my colleague mentioned here, Mr. Kay, we have the similar services at Santa Anita and Gulfstream. What else we provide a lot of times. When you go to Gulfstream, for example, and you become a regular owner there, the team at Gulfstream starts to get to know the owner, and they become family members. And you'll see they're coordinating birthday parties, they're coordinating hotel or restaurant reservations, and we have relationships with the local restaurants, and we'll call ahead, let them know.
Here's the beautiful backyard at Gulfstream, a great facility.
Right, and I tell, we have the village right there. I always tell this funny story. You'll see a couple, they'll come to the racetrack, and the husband will go to the races and bet, and the wife will go to the village and shop, and then they'll meet up for dinner at the end of the day, and they said they had a great day together.
Ideal marriage, as far as I'm concerned. Joe.
Well, yeah, we do have a couple of concierges. Actually, we have a horseman's concierge, and we have a VIP concierge that handles a lot of the horsemen too. It's important, the whole experience. You know, we've been very successful the last few years in getting the ship and run deal that Tom Robbins has come up with. And I'm sorry, I've probably stolen some of your guys' horses, but
No, but can explain the ship and run thing. That's a really, really
yeah,
unique
it's a pretty good
innovative.
deal, actually. If you want to come to Del Mar and your last race was started outside the state, we'll give you $1,000 if you show up and run at Del Mar. We'll also give you a 33%, I think, bonus on anything you'd win on that first race. So it's an incentive program to helps with the shipping costs, and it's had two good things come about it. Number one, we've gotten some new trainers coming out to our place and staying, not only just for Del Mar, but also for the Santa Anita meet and now the Los Alamitos meet. So it's been a winner all along. The second thing is we've had a lot of our local trainers go out of state to buy horses to become eligible for that. So we've had literally hundreds of horses in the last few years that have come in for this program, made it a big success, not just for Del Mar, but for the California races.
Ricky and Lucy at Del Mar, how about that?
Lucy, yeah, Lucy was a big deal there in Desert.
What do y'all think? $5,000 for that paid promotional allowance he just got right there?
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
He only gave me
There's
100.
even Trevor Denman.
What Mike talked about is leading into something that's really important too. Even when we think about the concierge services, it starts so long before the race day, because this, as all of you as owners and all of us know, the anticipation of what's getting ready to come on race day is very, very important. 12 horses in a race. 11 of them aren't going to be quite as happy as the one who's going to win the race. So anticipation is so important. So the things that happen prior to the race are critical to the experience and what you're going to have. So it is a family affair at the racetracks.
Now, here we have overshooting some of the various aspects of Keeneland, and that's a big deal about owners getting into the paddock, actually. I mean,
Well, it's a big deal. Everything about the race day should be special. It's when you come. It's, you know, the fan development. There's so many things that go in to make it exciting. You're going to be excited as an owner, but how does that whole experience come together? So fan development, when you get to a place, it's really exciting, and you get there and the crowds are coming in, and they're crowded in the paddock, and everybody's watching the horses and being involved in the day. The ease of being able to get to the kind of facilities you want, which we're showing some things, but everybody has a different thought of what they want their experience to be. So It's not just what we think owners should do, it's what does the owner like to do. So there's different dining rooms, different places you can be. Do you want to be dressed up? Do you want to be casual? Where do you want to spend your time during the day to be able to enjoy the races and enjoy the horses? So all of us are looking through our concierge services and through our horseman's hospitality and the way that we do things, how do we make it an experience that is something that's going to make it a special and memorable day for the owner, for the horseman. And there's a lot that goes into that.
and the day begins early at the racetrack. What goes on with owners and given their access to the backstretch and some of the the new ownership groups, you might have 15, 20 people in part ownership with one horse. So Mike, what do you guys do to try to get, it's so important to me, I think, is, John Asher said this to me, the PR guy at Churchill Downs. He goes, once you get them to get their hands on a horse, that's when you've got them. And for decades, we didn't want people going to the backstretch. They had no business going over there. How do you facilitate this up close and personal with the horse?
Yeah, we definitely encourage owners to come in the backside and visit their horses. And like you said, that up close and personal feeling when you get close to that racehorse is it's amazing. I mean, I still amazed every time I see these beautiful animals. At Santa Anita, for example, we have Clocker's Corner, and it's a beautiful area right sort of where all the trainers and the jockeys and everyone gathers in the morning so that they can watch the morning workouts. And when owners come there and they can have breakfast and have a coffee and mingle with the trainers and the jockeys and the riders, and you're watching these beautiful horses train in the morning, I've heard many times that that was sort of the spark that got them to maybe make that next step. Mm-hmm. So that's one area we have that I think helps bring that, get that connection with the morning aspect to the owner.
What happens in the morning at NYRA? I've never been there in the morning. I'm always sleeping.
11 o'clock is still the morning.
Yeah. Like I said.
In all kidding aside, we are going to miss this man dearly. He has been the voice of the New York Racing Association for decades. If you ever get an opportunity, please go to our website and see the love that we all shared for Tom Durkin on his last day.
I'm really off the payroll now, Chris. You don't have to be nice.
Which is why it's sincere. Yeah. As far as what we do for our fans, as Bill mentioned, there are different kinds of fans. So one of the things we do for the first time this year was we gave everyone a chance to get up close and personal with a horse. We had a horse named 50 Cent, and he was there in a stall right next to one of our Union Avenue entrances, and we had people of all ages fascinated by the ability to touch the horse. Children that were 2 years old or 92 years old. It was fantastic. In addition, we had at Saratoga these tours that would go out in the morning. You'd have breakfast, and then you'd go out in a tram, and you'd see all of that. And so as you got to know more about the sport, you could see horses training. You could see them getting washed down afterwards. It was great. And then we also have a program to introduce people to the concept of becoming an owner, led by our Hall of Fame jockey and now one of the members of our television team, Rich Migliore. And so we have meetings that lead up to a visit to Saratoga. Mm-hmm. So there are various ways in which we try to educate everybody about what it is like to be an owner. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there can be anything better as an example than what we saw this year. You had in California Chrome 2 people that are just like the rest of us who put in $10,000 apiece, and they owned one of the greatest sports franchises in America. And they enjoyed all the thrill, all the drama, and some of the heartbreak that goes with it. Now, those of us that live in New York, we'll never be able to own the New York Yankees. We'll never be able to own the New York Giants. But you can own a franchise when you become an owner of a horse. And that's what makes this sport so unique and so available to so many people.
Yeah, you didn't mention owning the New York Jets for good reason, because no one would want to own the New York Jets. Joe, what goes on out in the... Do the horses still... I remember Majestic Prince, Derby winner in 1969, I think it was, or 68, trained out in California, and he used to train right on the beach in the water.
We had all kinds of famous horses trained at Del Mar, and none of them ran, of course. They just are out there doing it. John Henry was out there, yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of Ferdinand. But it's it's a great place to train horses, and it's wonderful in the morning. You're right, 100 yards from the beach, and we do a couple of interesting things out there in similar to. What happens at Santa Anita, the Clocker's Corners, is Daybreak at Del Mar, where you can come and have breakfast and watch the races. Even if you don't know anything about it, it's a pretty good deal, because we've got Jeff Bloom, who's an owner, former rider, telling us who the horses are, and he's listened to the Clockers, and that's pretty great, because when you've got all of Baffert's stable out there, coming by, people get a big kick out of it. We also do a Donuts at Del Mar thing, which is really kind of cool. And it brings in a lot of kids, a lot of the local people that don't normally come to the races. They usually just complain about the traffic, but when you give them free donuts, they have nothing to complain about. So
Kind of like policemen that way.
yeah, that's right, yeah. I remember that going to my first day of the Sheriff's Academy. I was a reserve years ago. The first lecture we got at the Sheriff's Academy was where to go for the free donuts. Absolutely true. And you
Go
get
to
a-
Del Mar.
Yeah, go to Del Mar. Get a free donut. You can't miss it. So, and that's been very popular. And so I think that the morning hours at Del Mar are usually spectacular because the weather's always so good and the sun comes up. And, you know, we open our track at 4:30 in the morning, so it's you get an early jump on it. But, I mean, the biggest thrill I've ever have at Del Mar is getting on a pony in the morning and getting out there. But,
Now at Keeneland, do you guys give out free burgoo in the morning, or is it a little bit too early in the day for that?
They kind of wait till noontime for the burgoo time. So morning or the donuts. This is such a unique facility. From the time we were founded, the founders knew the importance of attaching people to the horse and attaching them to everything that was going. We said this was a sport first and a business second. So they understood how we were supposed to connect with our fans and our owners, and our founders were owners. So our mission's never been conflicted over all of these years, and now we've got 1,000 acres that are purely dedicated to the horse. When you think we only have 15 days in the spring, 17 days in the fall, so short race meets, you would think it was difficult to connect to people and connect to the horses and the people who are going to be here. Well, we do that 365 days a year. Very unique that we have no fences. It's not to get into our backside and to be able to see our horses and touch them. We've been designed for that. We've been designed to make sure that we allowed and emphasized and tried to make sure that people were attached to horses and building young fans. So we call it Sunrise Trackside. All of us are doing those things that are finding these unique ways to attach our fans, attach our owners, make it exciting. Every Saturday, we have this huge, it used to be called Breakfast with the Works, and then it got so much bigger because we started bringing in kids. And it's one of the morning rituals around here that people, their children are up anyway. I mean, they're running around the house, so why not bring them out here and let them get their donuts and get up close to the horse so they can get up and on the rail and all of our
Somebody's going to have to be a
outriders.
racing fan in the year 2040.
Exactly. It's so important. So we do demonstrations, bring people into the paddock. They teach them about the horse. Farriers come out, show them how to make a horseshoe. But it's all centered around the horse and making sure that our fans are becoming attached to the horse. Because that's it. We can create fans. We can create people who come out for various events. But how do we make them lifelong fans? Mm-hmm. And the lifelong fan's going to come when we attach them to the horse and to the animal itself.
Yeah. Now, you said ownership involves two things. It's a sport and it is a business. Chris, how do you, or how does NYRA, or anyone for that matter, help that business along in the position of being a horse owner as a business person trying to make a profit?
Well, the first thing and the most important thing are the purses. And we have big purses. We just finished a Saratoga meet, $17,500,000 in purses. Our Belmont meet for the springtime was almost $18 million in purses. And so we have purses at all along the strata, if you will, from the claiming races to the graded stakes. And it's done in a way to try to give everybody an opportunity to succeed. In addition, we're now looking at how we can begin from a procurement standpoint within NYRA to be able to acquire things on behalf of trainers and owners as well, so that we can use the leverage of our size to help them reduce their cost. But it starts with the purses, and then it's just a relentless focus on efficient operations.
Mike?
Well, I think exactly what Chris said here. Our founder and chairman, Frank Stronach, was an owner first. He's been the leading owner in America probably 6 or 7 times. Our 4 key executives in our company are all owners, including myself. So we know the business aspect of owning a horse and sometimes the challenge of paying those bills. So when we're making decisions on the racetrack side, we clearly have the owner in mind, and purses are clearly critical to that. And we are also looking at ways to use our size and leverage the costs on We're looking at, right now, we're investigating, it's already come out publicly, a pharmacy where some of the drugs could be bought at a pharmacy at cost, so there's not these huge markups that sometimes owners are paying. So those are kind of things that we're looking at. We're looking at even a workman's comp policy, things like that to try to bring down the costs that owners could have.
Yeah, I own a couple trotters. I've never really owned a thoroughbred because you can imagine the race calls. Come on, Blue Beauty, come on, Migliore, get that horse off the rail, come on, come on. So that's one of the reasons I never got into that, but I can tell you from owning trotters, they really do eat a lot.
They do eat a lot.
Bill, how about the business aspect of ownership?
Well, it's exactly what they've said. You know, purses are the drivers of the business, and we're so very fortunate because in Kentucky especially, there are different things that are used to increase purse levels around the country in different places. And we understand how fortunate we are that all of us are sitting in a place right now that is the engine for Keeneland to be able to provide good economics to the business. We, because of the uniqueness of our organization, everything that we do and have is built around the industry. So the proceeds that come from all of us who are now sitting in the largest thoroughbred auction house in the world, everything that happens in this room where we are right now is reinvested back into the industry. And a lot of that reinvestment goes into our purse program. That's what allows us to have purse structures that are competitive with everybody who's sitting in this room right now, which is good. It allows us to create those opportunities around the country in different places for us to provide, to have good economics for our owners. So all of those go together, and also allows us to invest, as we all are doing other things working together, to make sure that we keep level playing fields, that we provide for the integrity of the business and wagering. Mike mentioned medication, which is a serious matter for all of us. Horse safety, racetrack safety, all of those things that all of us would expect from a modern day sport to make it successful. I think you see at racetracks, people separate us sometimes, but we are really working hard to do those things that for our owners to be successful.
Joe.
Yeah, I think the purses drive the ship, no question about it. Some of us have slot machine revenues. You know. Some of us have sales arena. Some of us have to do it just with good old-fashioned way. But,
Some of us are supposed to get slot revenues.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's why I love this man.
yeah. Some of us are trying to work on a poker bill too, but you know, I don't know. But I think it certainly is, and we've been very fortunate at Del Mar. Our purses have been very high, business has been good, and so even without all those things, we've had a pretty high level. You know, Del Mar was the Thoroughbred Club. Our corporate name was founded by horsemen. They were all guys who put up money to start the facility.
Well, I thought they were just movie stars that started. I mean, they were movie stars and horse owners.
In those days, movie stars didn't have enough money to start it, I think. But yeah, Del Mar came out of the motion picture business, and I think that's sort of, you know, what our market has been, and what our marketing certainly has been over the years. But the purse structure has been good. The group, the board of directors that originally started this back in the 30s was different than the one that started the current company back in the late 60s.
Bing Crosby's not on the board anymore?
Bing, no, Bing's gone. Bing's gone. But that's funny, the Bing Crosby meet will be starting November 7th. We're going to name it the Bing Crosby meet.
Great.
And yeah, after him, it's the month of November, and got a lot of the Crosby family coming down, so it should be fun. But yeah, no, it's, you know, purses, that's the deal. And I think, you know, when you're going against, you know, Saratoga, for instance. I mean, look, people want to come to Keeneland, they want to come to Saratoga, they want to come to Del Mar, they want to come to Santa Anita and Gulfstream. I mean, we're fortunate here, all of us up here, to have those kind of meets, whether they be boutique or just a beautiful place to go to the races. And we have to make those special beyond what we have been given us, you know. And I think that for us at Del Mar, it's all about, at least I've been trying to say this for years, and it's coming out slowly, is we're in the entertainment business. And I put that ahead of the racing business, the gambling business, the restaurant business, and all the other stuff. Basically, we need new fans. And years ago when we did a survey about, do you come to Del Mar? And the people that said no, we went after and said, well, why not? And the frustrating thing was they didn't know why not. They just said, well, I don't know, we never think of it. We never go there. You know, we understand it's nice and, you know, it's not the prices or anything else. So we had to give them a reason to come, and it wasn't horse racing. So that's when we started the concerts on the Friday nights and some weekends. We started the family fun days. We started expanding our opening day into one huge party that it turned out to be. And I would say I go to the Oscars every year, but I'd rather be at the opening day at Del Mar. I think there's more better-looking folks there than at the Oscars.
At least a
You
lot
just don't know
less
their
plastic
names.
surgery,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Granted, there's a few low-hanging fruit after the 7th race, but everything else is pretty good.
I talk about plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, now he goes right into low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
I don't know the connection.
Those are the ones without the plastic surgery, yeah. But no, it's been successful for us in doing those things to bring people into the track at Del Mar, and hopefully we'll, you know, keep doing it.
Yeah. As far as ownership is concerned, what's the biggest complaint that you hear?
Probably costs.
Cost.
Yeah, the cost of ownership. You know, it seems like they come in and they have a great experience, they enjoy the day, and then, you know, a year or two goes by and maybe they have a bad year or two and the costs start running up. Clearly that, I think, is the number one complaint we hear, is that they love the sport, they love the experience, but the costs.
And you know, I love that idea about pulling together and for the medications and things like that.
Yeah, we're working hard on
I think that's
that.
a huge step.
Yeah, we're working hard on that right now to try to bring the costs down. Because like I said, our chairman was an owner, we're owners, and we recognize the cost of owning racehorses is not small, but the experience is fantastic, and if we can try to get those costs down and get the purses up, we can.
But the cost too is really a reflection about how much people love horses. They are not afraid to spend money to have the healthiest horse that they can. So it's you know, a chicken and egg sort of situation. What do people bitch about in New York?
I haven't received a single complaint. I have no idea. Nor have I received any advice. It's been, I think what Mike said is the most salient point, which is it's the cost. And I think the point that both of you just made is also important. This is a business in transition. We need to look at it that way. And businesses in transition can find different ways to succeed. And one of the ways that's been utilized in every other business is to streamline your operations, expand your buying power, use that leverage to reduce costs. And so, for example, this whole concept, which has been used successfully in Hong Kong for medications, reduces costs to owners, because now a vet is not the one providing that and getting a service fee. Now, veterinarians are going to say, well, what about us? We need to have a service fee. Well, number one, provide a different kind of service.
A diagnostic service.
Correct. Or number two, maybe we have too many veterinarians. I mean, I don't mean to be controversial here, but there's going to be some transition in this business, and that's what's going to happen. People that are going to be successful are the ones that are going to find ways to provide the same or better services more effectively and more efficiently.
Bill?
Cost is tremendously important. So you start adding up the barriers. So you have cost as one of the elements, and then this business, it's relatively simple in some ways, but relatively difficult. Some of the barriers for entry are finding those people you trust. The people who are going to mesh with your philosophies about what you're trying to do with the animal, where you want to run. How do you find a trainer? How do you find the owner? How do you evaluate the issues that come up with horse health and medication? And how do you get access that you want to the racetrack? How do you do those things that are going to make the experience enjoyable for you? I found
and by the way, we will be touching in the next day and a half on many of those points that it did bring up.
And those are critical things. So when you think about the things I hear that are complaining about things, it's more along the lines of, I just don't know how to do it. You know, I just don't know how to get there. I know what I want to do. I know I love the animal. I've heard these things that are a problem. But how do we overcome those barriers? How do we make it simple for people? How do we put people in the right spots with places of integrity and give them the knowledge that they need to get it done? And then all of a sudden, Yeah, cost is always going to be important. The economics of the business are always going to drive the long term. But how do we make sure we're providing the experience that gives people what they want?
Joe?
Well, I don't know who it was, told me once years ago that buying a horse is a little like buying a boat. Enjoy it. Don't look for the return on it. You know? And I think that, I mean, when there's passion involved, the costs are easier to handle. And I think when sometimes the excitement deals out of it, that's when I think the problems start. But I think so you've got to keep that up. You've got to keep the owner entertained. You've got to keep them happy. You've got to make sure that they're with the right people. And I think one of the things that has been successful, I think, for all of us is the syndications. And I mean, here's a guy that wants to spend maybe $50,000, $60,000, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And you know, a Cott Campbell or somebody like that that you trust and has a great relationship over the years and a great, way of going and doing things. You get in with him and you feel confident. You feel like you're not, being hung out there by somebody. So, I think I think the one thing that probably we can all do is make sure that we give the right advice to people that might come to us as track owners or operators, and make sure that we give them the right advice. I mean, I've had people probably every year. I get a number of people asking me, I'd really like to buy a horse. Who should I pick as a trainer? And that's, believe me, it's a tough. You're trying to match personalities with some trainer you trust. Sometimes it's difficult to do, but you've got to figure out the owner, how much he's willing to spend, and what he wants to get out of this, and then find the right guy. Yeah,
again, a topic that we'll be speaking to as the conference continues. Simon Bray is here, I really hope. Where are you, Simon? Attaboy. Simon Bray, born in Hertford, England, and born into a horse racing family, and then a trainer in his own right, and now a commentator on TVG. And Simon, you're going to roam the audience here for about the next 15 minutes and send some questions up to the stage here.
Sure, Tom. I'm going to start with a question that was sent in earlier, actually, for the panel. And I think most of you have answered it. It was really surrounding the race day experience, what owners can experience for a day at the track. And I think you've explained that with your Horseman's Concierge and Horseman's Relations. Talk about post-race. If you're lucky enough to win a race, I know that doesn't happen very often, but talk about the experience that you as racetrack operators give to the owners once they've won a big race.
Well, at NYRA, if you win a graded stakes race, we're going to escort you up to a special room at Saratoga. It's the Saratoga room, and you'll have we'll toast you with champagne, and it's a wonderful event. We'll also provide you with a picture from the winner's circle with the owner and the connections, taken by our Hall of Fame photographer in a beautiful glass frame. We try to make that experience as special as possible. If it's not a graded stake race, we're still going to have you in the winner's circle, still have that photograph. We're going to take you up for a drink if you'd like, and just share in that excitement for that first moment.
And one more thing I will say about the New York Racing Association, they're still very big on trophies. You guys spend a lot of money on that silverware, and that's a big, big part. And we have so many historic races too that plays into it. But you guys want to respond to the question?
Yeah, sure. Actually, at Del Mar, the winner of every race gets a bottle of, what is it, some bourbon. I know, we made a deal. And yeah.
It better be from Kentucky.
It's close by. Anyway, so it's a great, we thought when the sponsorship started it was just for the stakes. They said, no, we'll give one every winner of every race. So it's great. And we've contributed to the alcoholism, I'm sure, of a few owners, but...
Thus the low-hanging fruit.
That's the low-hanging fruit, yes. Yeah. Starting to see through our plan here, Tom. But also we have a winner's bar, even more contributing. But so the winner of every race, whether it's a stake or just a small overnight, everybody goes up there and has a good time. And we just wanted to make them feel good about winning a race. They do feel good. It's just like, here's your trophy, goodbye. We don't hate to do that, So we try to keep them engaged, at least for 15, 20 minutes afterwards to go up to the lounge there and still be able to celebrate with their friends on us.
Free julep cups, sir?
Free julep cups, yeah, we do. For our, and like they've talked about, for our stakes races, we celebrate with a champagne toast in our director's room. They receive the photograph, which is so special. We give them copies of the races. It used to be DVDs, and now it's these memory sticks, which are so popular, and that's the first year that we've kind of done that. We have a trophy program, a gold trophy where you receive a gold julep cup, actually, for each graded stakes win. Once you get 8 of those, you get a tray, and then you go back to winning cups, and once you've won 8 more gold cups, you get a pitcher. And then once you win 8 more gold cups from graded races, you get a gold bowl. So that's very special.
That's a lot of bourbon and sugar water on it.
That's a lot of bourbon and sugar water, and Claiborne Farm is the one that's got the gold bowl. We're trying to figure out what to do next. I explained this program to another prominent owner who won a race during this last meet, and I said, well, now if you win that gold bowl, we're trying to figure out what to do next. And he looked around the room and he said, well, I would really enjoy having this room. I don't think we can quite go that far, but the experiences, and then we follow up with a very special book, that a photographic memory of the day for them. So once it's over, and it's start to finish. It's from the barns to the saddling, what they've done in the paddock area, the start of the race, and that's been very special.
Excellent.
At Santa Anita, we actually built this very unique room. It's called the Speakeasy. And there's, so if you win a stake race, you're escorted to this room. At first, there's a security guard who lets you in this hallway that feels like you're in a tack room. And you're going down this narrow hallway, and then you come to the end. There's a pitchfork on the wall. Of course, this secret door opens into this beautiful speakeasy room, and then we take people in there because it feels very special. And we tried to create it like that, and you can go in there and champagne toast the winner of the race. So that's been very well received by owners when we've taken them in there.
You know, I'd like to add one more thing, that we have these things planned to take people, for example, to have that champagne toast. It's typically delayed 5 or 6 minutes because the owners' phones blow up. Everybody's calling them to congratulate them. And the excitement that you can see on their faces, they're talking to a friend of theirs on the other end of the line or into the cell phone, is fantastic.
Simon, what else we got out there?
Any questions from the floor? Alyssa will get that.
What's your question?
Yes, my name is Dennis Claremont. I'm an owner, been an owner for quite a while, and you were talking about different things that owners have a real interest in. And in that we have such a national forum, I had a situation where 4 days before a stake race, they changed the regulations on cobalt, 25 parts per million. And I'm wondering if you could elaborate on maybe something that's going on or you're participating in where they can rationalize medication nationwide?
On that particular drug?
No, just in common, so that from track to track,
Yeah.
you don't have issues trying to figure out what the different regulations are.
That's a very good point. I don't know if you want me to start, I'll start.
Rock and roll.
I think that's a very good point, and there is a push right now, started by the RMTC, that there's a model medication policy so that we're pushing for all states to adopt the same regulations on medication and withdrawal times, also penalties. This is now being worked on, where it's a huge effort by all of us here on this panel that's pushing that to try to get our states to adopt these rules, because exactly what you're describing is going from one state to the other, and the rules are different on the medication, and you had to scratch because of that. That's a problem that needs to be fixed, and there is a very big concerted effort to do that right now.
So Mike mentioned their model rules, and the hope is that many states will adopt them. And so there'll be that uniformity across all the states. The state of New York is in the process of adopting those model rules. There are 24 different drugs that would be prohibited, and there are other regulations as well as penalties. So what happens if you engage in a certain type of inappropriate behavior the first time, the second time, and so forth. And I'm pleased to tell you that we believe that New York will adopt those model rules within the next month.
Our industry simply can't exist without integrity. And the integrity for our racing fans and our owners, to provide a level playing field that protects our horses, which are the lifeblood of our industry and what we're trying to do. And those efforts are ongoing around the country right now, and they're happening slowly because of the nature of the industry around the country. But it is one of the most important things that we're going to be doing over the next year. Uniform medication is critical. Uniform penalties are critical. The bad things that are going on around the country that we read about, that we have to read about, are happening with a very small number of people. And we simply just cannot allow that to happen. And we have to demand integrity. We have to demand things that are going to be out there for the safety of our horses and for our human athletes that are riding those horses. And I am very hopeful that we're making significant progress. And everybody sitting up here right now is diligently working to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll second what Bill said. And the difficulty in it a lot of times is the fact that you have so many different regulatory bodies. It's not like one czar of racing, or not like the NFL or whatever it is, the commissioners of baseball and so forth. Every state has its own racing board or racing commission. And trying to get them all together, not just to satisfy themselves, but also to satisfy the horse owners, the track operators, the public, is very time consuming. And I'll tell you, I've been in track management for well over, I hate to say this, about 50 years. And I see it then, and I still see it now, and it's frustrating that it can't move faster. The Racing Commissioners International had a meeting at Del Mar at the beginning of our summer meet, and I spoke to them briefly, my speech was, hey guys, we need a hammer in this thing for a lot of these penalties and these drug enforcement things. And they're virtually working on it very hard. And hopefully, I think now with the attention that we see of the drug concerns that we're all seeing in this industry, I think they're going to be working faster as well as harder. So I think with this group and others in this industry, you're going to see things in the next year or so that will be very good.
I agree. I'm confident. I think in the next year or two, you'll see uniformity amongst the major states.
That's great news. That is huge. I think we have time for about one more question from the audience here.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me come around this side.
And keep your spots down.
Well, we have one right here while Simon walks around, sir.
Hi, Jim Chambers, good morning. The whole area of access and availability, and to a broader fan base, especially the next generation beyond just us and our mini iPads here. I wonder if you could comment on live streaming of your races and why those of you who do it, and why those of you who don't. Thanks.
Well, that's a good question. So we also own a technology company called ExpressBet, and it's an online wagering company where you can view all the streaming of all the races. We don't live stream on our websites and make it free access to anyone. And the reason why we don't do that is there's a lot of pirating that goes on in South America and other countries around the world. And if you allow that live streaming, they will take those images and they will bet, and the industry here will not receive anything for that. So we do that to try to control our audio-video signal in places, jurisdictions where the rules are a lot less strict. So that's the reason why you don't have free access to streaming on our websites. But if you want to join ExpressBet, for example, there are customers that don't want to necessarily bet, but they want to view the audio-video of the image, and we can do that as well. So we offer that. Then we control who that customer is that's using that signal.
So we believe in the idea of giving high-definition quality to as many people in as many ways as possible. Like Mike said, we have something called NYRA Rewards, and you can see our races in high def by going to NYRA Rewards. In addition, we also have a relationship with Roku, which is much like Apple TV. You pay $50 and you have Roku in all of its various libraries, including our races. And we're going to be announcing more along those lines in the next 6 months, probably the next 3 months.
and both of them have said, I think our interest is always in promoting and providing the video and the excitement surrounding racing, and we have spent extraordinary amounts of money over the years in providing our HD signal around the country and around the world, and we are much more open about allowing our signal to be used, even though we have Keeneland Select. Again, I think through our mission it's a little bit different in how we're trying to promote the industry and what we're trying to do. So it allows us the ability to be a little bit freer, if you will, for our signal and our video productions, and especially being able to provide the races. So.
Yeah, I think we went high def with TVG, our partner, and you know, I'm from the entertainment business, but you got to get the stuff out there. You absolutely do. Back in the olden days, they didn't want to put on television. I remember was working on a TV show at CBS to put it out there, and the tracks management say, you know, this isn't good for us because people won't come to the track if they can sit at home and watch TV. Apparently, they didn't realize what was happening in national football and baseball and everything else, so we missed the boat on that one. But I'll tell you, the more you can get your product in front of the more people, you're going to be much better off for it.
I just want to add one thing. We also have a television network called HRTV, and you can sign up to HRTV, and they'll stream that footage as well online.
I knew if I mentioned TVG,
I had to bring it up.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been a very informative session. And folks, thank you very much. Gentlemen, I'm going to boot you off the stage here. You're going to be replaced.
yeah.
We've heard that before somewhere.
All right, one more time. These guys taking their